Hi, my name is Sierra, and I will be going over herbicide use in the food industry. This presentation will kind of encompass the history of herbicide use in the food industry, so kind of where it all started, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about glyphosate because that's the most commonly used one today. And so, just a little bit about what herbicides do. They control weeds that might otherwise persist for several years. They stop the competing with other crop plants for water, light, and nutrients. And so without herbicides, we wouldn't have the crops that we do today. So by having these herbicides, a lot of our crops are cheaper, and they're in, obviously, like I just said, that they're in stores and available to us because of these herbicides. And beforehand, people weren't really concerned with the use of herbicides, but it's come about now, and a lot of consumers are scared about the carcinogenic effects and any other health implications that could occur from using herbicides. And as a future registered dietitian, the health of the public is a major concern of mine. Thus, I decided to research more on the topic of debate. While some research is really for herbicides, I found that out. Either people are really for the use of herbicides or they are really against it. So there wasn't anything that was really in the middle, and so that was the purpose of my research, was to kind of make a paper and a presentation saying, here are the pros and here are the cons, and let consumers, you and myself, come up with our own conclusions over what is best. So, a little bit of history on the herbicide use. It's actually really surprising. The first ever documented case was from Homer in 1000 BC, and he wrote of the pest averting sulfur. And that was 2,840 years before the first official publication of herbicide use was recorded. Back in this time, from 1850 to 1905, all farmers used herbicide, but it was all organic. So they used sulfur, salt, extract from olives, soaked wheat seed, and then in 1940 is when inorganic substances started to become established. And that was ammonium sulfate and sodium arsenate. Sodium arsenate actually was the predominant one, but it was found to be toxic to humans, livestock, and all that fun stuff. We had to stop using it. And I think that's sometimes where some of the concern comes from consumers today, because what's happened. We've put something on our food and then realized later that it was harmful to us. And so now consumers are a little bit more wary on what they want. More people are wanting organic. They're wanting fresh, but they're not really understanding what it would take to get that, which I'll talk about that later. Anyway, back on topic. After that, people really started to use DDT. And this was in the 1950s. This became the predominant herbicide used. The only thing is that they used DDT for everything. So just like how if you overly take an antibiotic, your body becomes resistant, plants and insects all became resistant to DDT. And so we realized that we couldn't use that anymore because it wouldn't work anymore. So then we started with glyphosate, and they started making certain herbicides for certain plants, certain diseases, certain insects, and all that, so that it could be more specialized, so that we wouldn't have this problem again of insect resistance, plant resistance, all the resistance. So we started using glyphosate. And the thing is that everyone thinks that glyphosate is just in fruits and vegetables and that, but now it's coming out. There was just a recent lawsuit not too long ago about it. The amounts that are in like oatmeal, Cheerios, breakfast cereals, and corn, and everyday food that people are consuming. So the recommended amount that is safe is by product. So oatmeal has a limit that's safe, a breakfast cereal has a limit that's safe, and so on and so forth. But there's not a like an overall. So like, let's say you had oatmeal for breakfast, you had the cereal for snack, you had corn with dinner. Are you safe? And that's where consumers are getting worried. And that is what needs more research. So the pros really are that without these herbicides, food would cost more and we wouldn't have it. I mean, we could go into a famine because it wouldn't be available. The crops would die, or they'd be competing with other plants and there'd be all these weeds, and I mean, it wouldn't be a good time. But on the other hand, we're now consuming so much that it may cause negative health outcomes. So in my conclusion, I put, herbicides are really positive. Like, they do have their benefits, though more studies need to be done on a realistic, realistic intake or upper limit, a realistic upper limit of what Americans really are consuming to see if it is safe, because that would give the consumer more validation to know that, okay, I would have to literally eat this all day long to get a negative health outcome. Like when everyone was scared of diet soda, and then they're saying you would have to drink 30 Diet Cokes every day for the rest of your life to have negative outcome. That sounds better. So we just need to see how much glyphosate is safe versus how much isn't, and not per individual food item, but overall in a diet, because we do need it. We just need to be able to use something like this smarter and have our consumers be more, I don't want to say educated, but just in the know. And I think that would negate some of the confusion and fear that is around glyphosate and chemicals and things like the Dirty Dozen and all of that. So yeah, that is my presentation, and thank you so much. I look forward to hearing your comments.